Hi, I'm Stephanie Hamilton. I'm here with Jessica Gibbons, who started Hungry Student Catering. So, Jessica, what makes Hungry Student Catering unique as a business model?
Hungry Student Catering is very unique in the fact that we partner with local restaurants to provide food. We actually don't make our own food, which means I have a lot more variety of options. I can order from anywhere between 20 to 30 restaurants that I work with here locally that I order from. And it means my clients get to choose, I want Chinese, or I want sandwiches, or I want Italian. And I cater to a lot of business meetings and a whole variety of different events, birthday parties, weddings, wedding showers. Um, we can do anything, and we provide all the service. So we'll do the food ordering, the pickup, the delivery, the setup, service during the event, or it can be simple as just dropping off the food for a 10-person luncheon.
So, what inspired you to make the leap to start your own catering business?
Well, I really wanted to do something different. It was my senior project for Cal Poly.
Mhm.
When I graduated as a business major, I really wanted to have the experience of running my own company. I thought that would be something that would teach me a lot about, business in general and managing employees. And it just, once I had the idea, it seemed like an incredible experience, which it has been.
So, how did you acquire the capital for your idea?
Well, interestingly enough, because I developed this model where I don't have much overhead, I don't have to have my own kitchen. I don't, it's just the employees who drive their own cars. I put in my own, I invested my own, but my first year I broke even. And so the money that I put in, I'm slowly earning back, and um, it, I didn't, that's why I didn't need to go out and get many investors or anything like that, any loans. But I did have the marketing firm that I currently work for create all my materials, help me launch my website. Did a lot that I used my resources, so it's cost effective for me to get my name out there in terms of marketing materials, brochures, business cards, all of
Very
that.
impressive. So, what was the economic climate when you entered the food catering market? Did it have any effect on your starting point?
It did, just because people are always looking for cheaper ways to do things nowadays, and I was able to use that as a selling point when getting clients. I'm much more affordable than going to a full service caterer who can mark up their prices. But I use the fact that I'm relatively, I'm a new business, and that I don't have all these overhead expenses, that I can lower my prices. I just a couple weeks ago did a wedding for 90 people, and it didn't cost them over $3,500 for all the food, all the equipment, decorations, and the service.
What was the single important piece of motivation that gave you the incentive to develop the idea for your catering company?
Well, I really wanted to give back to the community. Being in San Luis Obispo for so long, going to the college, it's a college town. I really wanted to provide students with high-paying jobs, which I start at $12 an hour, and I wanted to provide them jobs that are flexible. There's no minimum hours required. There's no max. Something that's just easy for students to make money and try and support themselves through college. Um, as for uh, the community, is like I didn't want to compete with all these amazing restaurants in town. Instead, I wanted to work with them to help increase their incremental sales, which are sales they wouldn't get otherwise. When a lot of restaurants can't afford to do catering, can't afford to put the labor against it or the time to organizing events because it's time intensive. I was able to step in and work with restaurants to help grow their business.
How did you overcome the challenges of turning the idea of a catering company into an actual business?
Lots of planning. I basically sat down and did research and planning and mapped it all out for about 6 months to a year before I started putting my business in full swing operationally.
And what research did you do beforehand to ensure that Hungry Student Catering would succeed?
Again, I used my resources. Being at the college and having it be my senior project, I had a team of students at Cal Poly do all the market research, competitive target market, everything that I needed to further develop my business idea and solidify it in terms of how my operations are going to run, how human resources is going to be set up. You really need, from the beginning, to have a clear goal and define that in very achievable steps. So I needed that time to sit down and really develop my business.
Um, so what was the timeline for your first coming up with your idea to the actual point where you actually did introduce it? I know you said 6 months to a year was your planning, but
Right. More specifically, I started out with the idea, the concept, Hungry Student Catering. Once I knew I wanted to, focus on high-paying students well and, you know, helping businesses grow within San Luis Obispo, uh, I created my business plan, which is absolutely necessary. It's so amazing how many companies don't have business plans and don't, tuck it away for so long and don't revisit it every now and then, because you have to think about all the financing, you have to think about marketing and promotions. You can't just have a great idea, you have to develop it. And so that took probably 2 to 3 months. And then once I had the team of students help me start doing my research, that was another probably 3 to 4 months. And then actually getting ready to launch again was another 2 to 3 months, where I had to, make sure I'm insured, make sure, all the nitty gritty legal stuff, which is daunting. It's a lot, to deal with. But once you use the resources and have people help you, it became a lot easier when I, had a plan and set things up step by step.
so what's one thing that you would do differently if you were able to do the process all over again?
That's a hard one. I think from where I stand right now, I've been growing, and I think building up my support system even more, maybe taking on a partner. Um, one person is just one person at the end of the day. I can plan all I want, but having the manpower behind it, I think in order to maybe have been at a bigger level at this point, I would have liked to take on a couple of partners to help me expand the business even faster.
So have you had any serious problems from competitors?
Not really, just because I work hand in hand with restaurants that even do catering, and I say, listen, I don't want to be your competitor. I want to give you the sales of the food and help you grow, and you can act as a referral for my services at the same time. And people really grasp that. They understand, like, I'll scratch your back, you'll scratch mine, kind of thing, especially in this economic climate. Um, I know that, sometimes I get underbid, and it that happens, but if you try to communicate to the client that you're flexible, that you can work with any budget, basically what my capabilities are. That's my biggest challenge, is trying to tell them what we do and how we can fit their needs and make their event successful.
So, as a graduating senior, what advice can you provide that you think would help pave the road to success?
I definitely would go back to planning. Make sure you do things right and you do them from the beginning, and you don't sidestep anything. It's so important to think everything through, and get people's advice. Ask people, like, hey, what do you think about this idea? Or just being collaborative with your resources, your peers, anybody in the community. It's surprising how much feedback you can get back, and what you can learn about your business or yourself.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time. We really appreciate it, and it was nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.